Now that Captain America is aware of the machinations of the Outer Circle and the sinister Sentry game, what will that mean for the Star-Spangled Man? Well, let's hop into the pages of Captain America Sentinel of Liberty issue number 4 and find out together, shall we? So then, after his last explosive adventure in Brooklyn, as we join the comic, Steve is back home trying to decompress from everything that he's learned. His mind goes back to memories of his mother. Growing up, she had always talked about the plan, how God had a plan for everyone and that everything happens for a reason. Steve, as a child, had always taken solace in these words, but now as a man, especially a man smack dab in the center of a massive global conspiracy, he's not really taking solace in those words anymore. Again, it seems that the Outer Circle does indeed control the world and make sure that everything, even Captain America, are ultimately in their place. And now that Steve has woken up to the truth of the world, what will that mean for him moving forward? Well, first things first, he decides to look up Bucky the Winter Soldier. Bucky, of course, has been in quite the tailspin recently because of the part he's been playing in the Sentry game, and you know what? He finally opens up to Steve all about it. You see, Bucky's been living with all this terrible baggage for years. He's one of the star points, one of the hand-picked super assassins for the Sentry game in the Outer Circle. For so long, Bucky considered it to be just another part of the long, twisted, bloody history as the Winter Soldier, but now that he's actually able to open up to Steve, the true healing can actually begin. But moreover than that, they can actually concoct a plan on how to strike back against the Outer Circle and the Sentry game to wrestle control of the world away from them. Though Steve ultimately goes about this in a way you might not be expecting. You see, we actually follow him through the rest of his day. We see him drop off that kid that he was mentoring in how to box at school. The kid's really excited to stand up against his bullies, but Steve gives him a really impassioned speech about how violence is a circle and how you should always be ready to defend yourself, but never actually go looking for a fight, but that Steve ultimately taught this kid because he knows he has a good heart and will use what he taught him for the best. The kid's mom also tells Steve that he's her favorite Captain America, but he says not to worry, Sam's his favorite too. Aw, that's sweet. Next up, we see Steve at his art class, wherein he asks his fellow students a rather complicated question, and that is, what does the symbol of the shield mean to them? After all, the Outer Circle claims the shield as their own personal symbol, but Steve is surprised and a little encouraged to realize that that symbol means something different to everybody. For some, it means hope and liberty and everything you would assume it to. For other people, it does represent a rather dark history of corruption and injustice. But perhaps it can also be a symbol of change. And maybe truly the power of the symbol of the shield is that it does mean so many different things to so many different people. Cap's final stop is probably the strangest one yet. He goes to a hard scrabble Irish dock bar. Apparently this place has been here since Cap was a kid, and it hosted the sort of people that Cap's mother would call, you know, an unsavory lot, criminals, anarchists, union organizers, and the like. Yet it's a place that Steve apparently actually enjoys coming to for the good-hearted debate, because after all, what's more American than a heated argument? One of the Barflies very bluntly asks Captain America when he's gonna get down with the struggle and start eating the rich with the rest of them, only for Steve to very hilariously fire back, I don't know how cannibalism is gonna help us, friend. Of course, that's not what they're really talking about. Steve also gives all the classic talking points of, yes, you know, societal change is ultimately a great thing, but you know, we just have to wait, be patient, and have faith in the system, man. Of course, not everyone is like Steve. They don't have super soldier serum pulsing through their veins, and they're not very well gonna live forever to see the slow march of change move to the better. The Barfly also brings up a rather interesting point when it comes to Captain America and socialism, saying that he's really seen the best sides of socialism already in the army. I mean, think about it. When you become a soldier, you get 3 square meals a day, a cot. You might not actually make much money, but it balances out because you're doing something for the greater good of the community. Oh, sure, the army may, in its own way, set up to protect capitalistic greed, but most soldiers don't actually end up paying into it. And you know, you would think this guy hates Captain America because they're so diametrically opposed, but quite the opposite. Steve asks this guy for advice, and the Barfly tells him he knows that Steve will ultimately do the right thing because he's a good man with a good heart, and while the government, the army may have made him Captain America, they don't own him. He's still every bit that little guy from Brooklyn, and when more little guys wake up to their own sense of power, well, the Outer Circle and the evil powers that be won't stand a chance. Now, it's at that point Steve ends up taking a walk down a dead-end alley. Why? Because someone's been following him. Someone's been following him all day. In fact, that Redacted Redacted robot that he fought in Germany. As we discover, this is all part of some brilliant ploy by Captain America. He wasn't just doing his errands because he had to do them, he was doing it because he actively wanted to take Redacted on a walking tour. And to test this thing's own sense of humanity and morality. You see, Redacted could have killed Captain America about 100 different times throughout the day, but he didn't. You see, all the time that Steve spent talking to other people, he was really talking to Redacted, trying to show him that there's a better way than simply just being a pawn on the game board of the Outer Circle. That no soldier should ever have to fight alone, and if Redacted is willing to join Steve, he thinks that they can actually take this evil group down and end the Sentry game once and for all. And it's on that note right there the comic comes to a close, everyone. So that was Captain America Sentinel of Liberty issue number 4, and I gotta say, I'm absolutely over the moon about this issue. This is one of my favorite Captain America stories I've read in a really long time. Perfectly self-contained, yet also does a great job building the bigger Sentry game story. What this story really speaks to is that Captain America's greatest power isn't the super soldier serum, it's not the shield, it's his amazing sense of compassion. The thing that kept the Outer Circle from controlling him for all those years, because, well, Steve is just kind of a wrench in any sort of evil machination just by being himself. I said it in issue 1, but I'll say it again, I absolutely love that we're exploring Steve as a human being and just the regular everyday people he runs into in his life. They're all different, sometimes they fight, but they reflect something in him. He is in many ways the friendly neighborhood Captain America in this arc, and I love getting to see Captain America get to know the people that he's actively defending. Maybe I'm just a big doe-eyed softy, but sometimes my favorite comic book stories are just getting to see heroes be good for the sake of being good, and that's exactly what Kelly and Lanzig are bringing to this story. Overall, I'd give this one a very positive 9 out of 10. This was great.
Hey there everyone, Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps drive engagement and helps me out too. Also, if you are a patron, which you can become for as little as $1 a month, you will get exclusive content that no one else can ever see, and you'll get to see the Comic Multiverse podcast before anyone else too. You can check out all this and more down in the description. And until next time everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.